The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Oh boy. Live TV. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's a Wednesday, hump day.
It's a hump day. And let's get right to some breaking news. Last Friday, a Fall River man, John Soares, formerly of 998 Middle Street, was convicted of mayhem and assault-related charges. Well, it's actually mayhem, assault with bodily injury, severe bodily injury, and all kinds of great stuff. A lot of people remember this is where the finger was cut off. It happened at a business called Columbia Towing on Aberdeen Street. And the owner and her husband, as well as another gentleman, Mr. Connors, are still awaiting trial. And Donna Sylvia and her husband Dennis Sylvia are both charged with mayhem, assault, and battery with a dangerous weapon causing substantial injury and witness intimidation. Connors is charged with mayhem and assault and battery with a dangerous weapon causing substantial injury. Now, Tom Quinn is going for maximum sentencing, and this gentleman, Mr. Soares, is going in for sentencing on September 23rd. And I have had experience with District Attorney Quinn. And he has been very clear on violent crimes, such as this, rape. He goes for the maximum sentence possible, and he gets it. And again, I have a personal experience with a family member that something happened, and he went for maximum sentence, and he got it. And I believe that on these cases, he is going to get the maximum sentence. I think he is.
Well, it's kudos to District Attorney Quinn, because, they love to say that stiff sentencing doesn't cure problems, but if you look at other countries where there is always very harsh sentencing, they're far safer. Just look at Tokyo, Japan. They have a murder every, 5 or 10 years. They have a couple murders, and you go to New York City, Chicago, you got a murder every 35 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
And why? Because in Japan, if you get arrested for anything, the sentences are extremely long. And you look at other European countries, it's sentencing. If you're found guilty, you get so there is a consequence. And the prisons you go to in those countries are not country clubs where they're complaining because they won't give them flat screen TVs or fully equipped gyms.
Right.
Because, and aren't these the people who were also involved, the other people, in the arson cases and a few other issues?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So not a new name to the judicial process.
Right. Yeah. There was a fire in Tiverton of questionable cause. And then there was the fire in Westport where a child died.
Yes.
And people are upset about this. And, it's not a good thing that people are getting so upset and they're not feeling as though they can be safe anywhere.
Well, that's the thing, CJ. Look, I am, I'm a strong advocate of the Constitution, and due process is guaranteed. Right. But I believe in swift due process and punishments that fit the crimes. And this is one of the problems with this country. They figure out a way, especially if it's a crime that maybe somebody who's a politician or one of their relatives can get convicted of. This is the reason that they don't like to give out mandatory sentences for things. All we have to do is just look over to drunk driving and see how many times we've had people kill somebody
right,
drunk,
exactly.
And it's their 15th or 20th offense or something
right,
like that.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
absurd.
Well, Mass Charter School expansion debate turns feisty. They
Good.
had a debate yesterday over, I believe it was yesterday, over at UMass Boston. Mm-hmm. And I followed it briefly because, as you know, on Monday, October 17th, we're having the People's Debate on this same issue, this exact same issue. And this is going to be very interesting to see how it pans out in Fall River. Tickets are currently available. You go to question2.eventbrite.com and you can get your tickets. Admission to this event is by ticket. If you don't have a ticket, you're not going to get in. And the seats are assigned by the Eventbrite system. So if you want good seats, you got to do it early. Early bird registration ends on the 30th of September. And those are in the lower level. And then after the 30th of September, the rest of the theater is opened up and you can end up anywhere. So get your tickets early. It's question2.eventbrite.com.
Not only should this be a very lively debate, but it's a very important debate, as I said on a previous show. Political debates are always interesting, mostly for the comedy.
Right.
But and to list all the promises that they make that they don't keep.
Right.
But this is a really important issue. I mean, we're talking about the education of our children.
Right.
And a country runs on its intellect. It's the people, the people who are making the decisions, and, a country progresses by having highly educated. Look at the Japanese educational system, look at the Chinese educational systems. They're producing, world-class students that can compete anywhere in the world. Most of them are bilingual or trilingual when they get out of high school. And so this is an important issue. And this is a question that people have strong feelings on. And there are also a lot of issues, underlying issues that have to be covered. And this is when they get covered during a debate. So just remember our debate and get your tickets early.
That's it. And tentatively, they haven't all been confirmed yet. The yes on two to lift the cap. So far, we have Kerry Rodriguez, former WSAR radio personality, Mike Roderick, state senator, and Marty Walls, who was at this particular debate in Boston. And those are currently tentative. I'm still waiting on the no on two side to present their speakers. So it will be interesting to see, and we're still negotiating out a moderator. The governor was invited. I did receive a letter from the governor yesterday saying that due to other scheduling conflicts, he would not be able to attend. So now let's get to the big part of the show.
Drum roll.
The Clowncil meeting. The Clowncil meeting. Now, I have to say very clearly, over a month ago, I requested from the city clerk and the Department of Community Maintenance Director, Adriano Ponciano. The information requested was the pay-as-you-throw violations, how many had been thrown out in court, how many were paid, the information that was presented last night at the city council meeting, which Joe Macy, city corporate counsel, wanted to charge me $131.09 for reports that already existed, which by law, they can't charge you for something they've already created. So again, the administration, through their corporate counsel, wanted to deny the people the rights to know this information. Because this information proves, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the boy emperor, child mayor, has no freaking clue what he is doing in the city of Fall River, and he's doing nothing but spending more and more and more and more money. And I'm going to tell you now, 132 citations issued in the pay-as-you-throw program. You want to know how many were paid? 5. That is so low of a number, it nauseates me. It's not even 10%. It's not even 5%. Okay?
And let's before we go on, because I want to break this down piece by piece. Number one, those numbers don't make any sense, because if you add them up, they don't add up to 132. That's not an accurate breakdown the way it's...
Well, no,
but
because
the
you have to
appeal-
remember 5 were paid.
Yeah.
Okay, 19 were appealed.
Yeah,
17
but are those
dismissed.
appealed numbers in the unpaid numbers?
No.
So add 5, 19, 17, and 110.
That's 132.
Yeah. It is.
5 and 17 is 22 plus 110.
Yeah.
That's 132 citations.
It's 22, and 5 and 19 is 5 and 19.
No,
is,
19 of the 132.
All right, but the
were appealed.
The appealed, yeah.
Right.
All right.
2 were found guilty.
Well, okay. Well,
Okay.
That's not there. All right. 5 are paid.
Right.
Okay. So now you got 5 and 19 is
No, it's not 19 because remember, 17 of the 19 were dismissed.
all right.
So
But that's not in the paperwork.
I understand it.
So when you add those numbers the way it was presented, they don't add up.
Right.
See, because if they're dismissed, okay, the numbers. But if you put numbers in a column,
Yep.
you normally add them.
Right.
You know, you don't do. I mean, but the whole thing is off because the point is, forget about the numbers. The point is, this was one of the most important parts
Of his
of the
budget.
city budget.
Yes.
This was the mayor's thing when we transitioned. We're going to have stringent enforcement. We're going to make all this money enforcing these regulations. And then he hires this guy with a resume so weak you could use it for a sieve. He's been in that position for what, 2.5 months?
Yep.
And his only job, or his priority job, not his only job, his job is to run a DCM. But one of the most important parts was, and it was said time and time again, stringent enforcement of the pay-as-you-throw regulations.
Right.
And this is what we got in 2.5 months. And this is ridiculous. You know, and I know in another part he says he has visions. Let me explain something about this whole process here. He is a department head. He's a manager. You know what the first priority of a manager is? When you take a management course or you study effective supervisory practices, as I had to do to take a lieutenant's, captain's, and chief's exams, the first thing is, a manager's job is to, get the job done. That's the first priority. Then it goes into all the ways of how you be a manager. You discipline people in private, you praise them in public, and and all the other managerial tenets. But the first priority of a manager is to get the job done. Now, they just gave this guy a salary that's twice the money he's ever made in his entire lifetime that he wasn't qualified for. They're looking at, I don't know if it passed last night, that they passed the new stipulation for $98,000 for DCM? Because that meeting went ad nauseum. I'll have to catch the end of it tonight. Like I said, I can only watch it.
The problem is that yesterday the broadcast sucked so badly. I don't know what system failures they had. We have them here, so I'm not saying it was anyone's fault.
But regardless,
right?
Yeah, but regardless, and I won't say irregardless, as people who love to say that word. It's a double. It's a double negative. It's not. It's improper grammar. But whether he gets 80,000 or somewhere down the line, the mayor bumps him up because they capped the salary at 98, and ultimately he'll get to 98 for doing what?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Right.
And not only nothing, this is going to affect us because when they don't get that money, guess where they're coming for the money?
That's right.
All right, next item.
Okay, so as I said, 110 tickets are still unpaid. They're going to go after them in small claims court. Give me a break, okay?
Who are we going to hire for that?
Well, here's the kicker. There's only one person issuing citations. Okay? And the question was, and I asked it, I sent text message, where are the people that were hired by the grant? The grant money ran out. They spent the grant money on who? We never saw anybody issuing citations.
Well, you just got the statistics on how many citations were issued.
So
it's like, well, what were they doing?
Right. I mean, they were sitting around playing solitaire on the computer in the office. And Part of the contract was that Easy Disposal is supposed to keep records on who's not using the purple bags. Well, guess what? Easy Disposal is not placing the notifications on the barrels that purple bags weren't used. So, again, part of his perfect, strict enforcement plan out the window. Mr. Mayor, do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you're doing? Get your hand off wherever it is and do something, because this is getting to be ridiculous. Okay? Now they want to get a 98% compliance that we're talking about. Now they're saying, oh, it's somewhere around 86%.
Yeah, plus or minus 84%.
Right. Wait, it gets even better. What is the method you use? Well, we use the same method that Easy Disposal used and Waste Zero used. Okay, what method is that? That was the answer. I just gave you the answer. Nobody knows. There's no definitive way to govern compliance. Now, they want 4 new compliance officers.
Well, there's the answer. I got it. There's the answer always. Remember this, people out there that are watching this show. Their answer is, we implement the program, we get a grant, we don't enforce the program, so now we have to pay the money out of our pockets because they didn't enforce it and didn't get anywhere near their budgetary projections, and their remedy is to spend more money and hire 4 more people to not do the job.
Well, Kathy Ann said that they're not hiring anybody. They're going to move people because they had some displaced sanitation workers who are now cleaning the street.
Well, what's going to happen to the jobs they're doing? Is Kathy Ann Viveris telling me that we've got 4 jobs in this city that we really didn't need?
I guess so. So again, none of this is making any sense. And then to top it all off, they're going to create a 311 program.
Oh.
You pick up the phone, you dial 311, hey, there's a problem. Nobody's using purple bags at 148 Bedford Street, or nobody's using purple bags at 309.
Oh, and they're going to get money?
Well, because I know they did apply for a grant. I believe they received it to implement a 311 system. But you know what? The money came in. If they did get it and the money came in already, I don't know where it went. Now, here's the kicker on the purple bags. The sales were higher in June, before the boy emperor implemented his whole, just after his implementation program. Okay? Then they were low in July, down to 189, somewhere in that vicinity. And then in August, they were up to 230,000 bags. And then here was the explanation behind it. Well, people don't buy them as they need them. I guess they stock up on them.
Yeah, and of course, it's not the fact that once the city removed the trash collection fee that many people got rid of their private collection and went back to city,
right.
So that would account for the sale of other. But of course, the city can't figure that out.
Right.
We have to tell them that, so that's okay.
Now, the question was asked, how are you tracking this? And here was Ponciano saying, well, a watch list of some kind.
What you can't.
And I said to myself, of some kind? Don't you know? Don't you know? Really? Well, I have a vision. I vision everything that he has. I vision. My vision is, Mr. Ponciano, if you step up to Hillside Street, behind the Charlton Memorial Hospital, there's a building there called Corrigan Mental Health. They give medications for visions. Okay? Honestly, because your visions so far aren't going anywhere.
Well, let me add this. Look, Mr. Ponciano, Mayor, Career, City Council, that's all code for we don't do anything. Leave the vision to the people who are either on hallucinogenic drugs or people who have an occupation that requires vision.
Right.
It's like being a research scientist to try to cure cancer, or being or being an inventor, or something like that. Being a manager, being a department head. We've heard all the buzzwords. Let me explain this to you people. These are code words that politicians use not to do any work. They come up with all these, for years ago we had dovetail. That was the big word for a while. You remember that one, CJ? We're going to dovetail these things into one. We're going to do that. That was it, And then the other one was think out of the box. Let's think out of the box. Look, you're the department head of a maintenance division. not the head of a research cancer facility. What you need to do is your damn job, which is get the job done. You didn't. You haven't. I don't want vision. I want results. If I went through a fire and said, I got a vision of this building being put out, the fire being put out, and sat there for an hour and a half and didn't do anything, then my vision would come true. The building would be in the cellar. There would be no building.
There'd be no fire.
That's right. There'd be no fire because it ran out of fuel. But you get paid to do a job. But politicians don't have to do that because there's no competition. You see, in private industry, you run a business like this, you're out of business. You run a business like this in the public sector, all you do is bankrupt the taxpayers because you just keep getting money from them. And your incompetence, you are the epitome of the Peter principle. Government is the epitome of the Peter principle. They can't do anything right, and all they can do is do what they, here it is. They hire an unqualified guy. He's been there for 2.5 months. His primary function and one of the most important factors in this year's budget in his transition to private hauling was the collection of the fines for non-compliance. He hasn't done it. That's the bottom line. He hasn't done it. Unqualified man doesn't do job. Remedy, as always, hire more people.
Well, it's nauseating because...
Spend more taxpayer money, and by the way, make up the deficit from the taxpayers too.
That's right.
By the way.
Right.
So this is the problem that I have.
Well, and the thing is that, I got to give Linda a little bit of credit because she asked some very important, poignant and direct questions. And she asked, are they going to pay for this? And Ponciano's response, you got to love it. I'm not saying they're not. And I'm not saying they are. So, I'm not saying they are, and I'm not saying they're not.
They're not saying they are not. Okay. In other words, so here with a guy that's entrusted into enforcement, his is saying he doesn't know. And you know why they don't know? Because there's no necessity. Because if they don't collect it, they're coming after you.
That's right.
They're coming after you and me to pay the deficit. Because in private industry, if somebody walked up to a board meeting in a company and they said, did you collect payments on all the stuff we shipped out last month? And he said, no. Well, are you? Are they going to pay? Well, I don't know. They may or they may not. So, but that's not a big issue.
No, it's
Nobody
not.
thought that was a big issue yesterday, because you know why? It's not their money. It's not their company. They're in the business. They're in the business of taking care of themselves.
That's right.
And kicking the crap out of the taxpayer.
And Linda asked a good question because we've been asking it for a while. Okay, what about mattress disposal? Because, number one, Easy Disposal doesn't like to pick up bulky items. They have DCM do it, which is something that nobody mentioned last night. But Easy Disposal is having the city pay $24 to get rid of a mattress. We used to pay $14 to get rid of the mattress, and the city charges $20 currently. So we're losing $4 just on getting rid of the mattress in privatization, Mr. Child Mayor, that was supposed to save us money, okay? And we're actually losing $14 when you think about it, because we're spending $10 more.
Look, CJ, that's the way they get their money.
Right.
And nobody pays attention, because what they do is they slide it under the radar, they nickel and dime it. It's just like, how about bulky items? All the bulky item fees went up. What used to be, what, 2 pieces?
3 pieces for $10.
3 pieces for $10. Now it's $13 per piece. Mm-hmm. So do the math.
Right. Well,
it's $39 instead of $10 for 3 pieces. That's like almost a 300% increase.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing was, Linda turned around and says, "Now we got a grant to get rid of these mattresses."
That's right.
So we got money to get rid of them, and we still charged.
And we charge more.
And we charge more. Yeah.
That's
so
right.
this This is how the taxpayer's getting it, tooth and nail. Baby, bend over, because you're taking it dry, because this is how Fall River's doing you in.
Yeah, well, that's what they do, and what do? They, they hope that you're not intelligent enough to begin to look at this and get angry. What they do is they placate you with well, it's no longer a chow mein sandwich. It's a chow mein sandwich at election time. But now what it is they give somebody something.
Yep.
And then they go before the council and they go, my neighborhood association wants to thank this administration. Well, thank them for what? For giving you your money, a little bit of your money back while he's shafting you royally on every fee. All the fees are going up 200, 300, 400%. They're worse than the pharmaceutical companies, but they nickel and dime everybody to death. Now when you get rid of 3 pieces, it's $39. It used to be 10. Jesus, you can't figure that out? You can't figure you're getting the shaft here? Now we got a company that's saving us money, but everything costs more.
Right.
That's kind of a conflict in that idea.
And I'm going to tell you right now, it just gets worse. We don't have a lot of time left, so I got to get over to this last issue. The federal government right now wants to merge Fall River, Somerset, and Swansea into, guess what? Rhode Island, Providence. Hey, Mr. Mayor, I guess your wish is coming true.
He was a visionary.
He was a visionary.
He knew we were going to be a part of Rhode Island.
By merging us with Rhode Island into the transportation budgets, SRPEDD, which everybody in SRPEDD supposedly, oh my God, we're going to lose Fall River and all this. SRPEDD's going to be merged into Barnstable in Boston. You know what that means, SRPEDD? You're gone. You're gone. I can't stand you anyways because you don't know what you're doing. But if they do this, Fall River's going to get less transportation money. And they're now saying, of course, oh no, this is going to hurt economic development for Fall River. Well, you know what? You're right. It's going to hurt it. The heroin junkies are going to get their heroin now for $2 instead of $5 a bag. One last thing. A hateful act of the city council took place last night. It is my belief at this point in time, because again, I can't confirm it, but if this is true, the city council told every veteran in Fall River, up yours, okay? Because they named a bridge after a gentleman who, granted, was a National Guard veteran, and he was a city worker. He didn't die in the line of duty. He was not killed in action. He wasn't a police officer. He worked in DPW, okay? This was because a political hack wanted to make sure that he could honor his father. And that's fine. We should all honor our parents. People who get their bridges named after them, or roads named after them, or rotaries named after them, are people who get killed in the line of duty, who have gotten medals of honor. Those are the people you do it for. Those are the people who take precedent. And then when those people are gone and you have no more of those, go to people who are wounded seriously in war. I don't agree with this. If they did this, and I believe they did, I don't agree with this.
Well, I have to, it's my personal opinion. I'm sure that there are, if you'd ask 10 people, they'd say, well, I don't really care. Well, personally with me, as a veteran, whenever I see anything dedicated with a military title, whether it's rank or, whether it's sergeant so-and-so or a colonel, or I assume that individual was probably killed in action or a Medal of Honor winner, which is the only two. And, it's my personal opinion that is an honor that should be bestowed on people who made the supreme sacrifice. They gave their lives for their nation. And that's an honor that is like the Medal of Honor. A lot of people out there who are not military people don't realize that the President of the United States has to salute a Medal of Honor winner. That's how important it is. And to me, when you name something after a veteran, it should be a veteran that made the supreme sacrifice. But everybody that's a veteran, I respect anybody that wore the uniform of the United States of America and put their hand up and volunteered to be sent anywhere and do anything.
We'll see you Friday. Have a great day.